Hello everyone and welcome to another What I Think review, and today I am extremely excited to be looking at this brand new Third Doctor and electroplated sonic screwdriver Vortex Edition set. Now, I've received this as an advanced sample, so at the time of recording I don't know if this is going to be a character options exclusive and exactly how much this is going to be, so I'm going to put up a caption on the bottom because at the time you'll see this, the press release will be out, and so I'll be able to give you a bit more information in a caption. I just can't say it right now because I don't know. But yes, so this is a brand new style of figure set. When I say brand new, they did do one of these way back in Matt Smith's series where they did the 11th Doctor with his sonic screwdriver. Going to come back to that at the end because we're going to have a look at the actual figure set itself first of all. So in this, we have a Third Doctor figure in his outfit from the Demons, or however you want to pronounce it. We have the chromed Third Doctor sonic screwdriver with three accessories in the form of a Green Death maggot, the crystal thing from, I believe it's the Time Monster, and obviously a little mini Third Doctor sonic screwdriver for him. But as well as that, we also have a brand new head sculpt for the Third Doctor, which I'm really excited to get a closer look at. Overall, box-wise, I really like the way this is presented. It's really great to sort of see it in there as a, you know, as a two-pack and putting them together, because you can really see everything you've got in the box. Style of box is really nice because this is again one of those ones that I believe, and we'll see over the course of the review, you should be able to put it back in the box to display, which I love. And also the back insert, obviously he's got his TARDIS roundel, so I'm hoping that they're going to do that for each of them. But obviously if we turn the box round to get a look at the back, we've got a lovely bit of information on the back. So I'm not going to read it all out, but obviously it says Vortex Edition. This is a new range of figures which feature a higher specification deco applied over the base colour plastics for extra detail. Obviously information here all about sort of the Third Doctor, etc. A little bit of information here about the sonic screwdriver as well, and it also says that tells you which outfit he's wearing. Nice little quote from the Third Doctor here: "A straight line may be the shortest distance between 2 points, but is by no means the most interesting." And then the contents of this, so it says, one electroplated Third Doctor electronic sonic screwdriver, so it does have electronics in it. One Third Doctor high specification decorated figure. One cloak accessory, brackets removable. One giant maggot accessory, one sonic screwdriver accessory, and one Kronos crystal accessory. That's what it was called. So yeah, it's really, really nicely presented. Definitely one that I think is going to catch people's eyes. But let's get into actually having a look at what we've got in the box, starting with the sonic screwdriver. So here are our two sonic screwdrivers, because the one at the back is the original release, which I've just briefly brought in, so you can see the sort of comparisons of the chrome of the new one compared to the old one. It's really difficult to capture on camera, but the new chrome one really is like properly shiny compared to the classic one. Other than that, they're pretty much identical. I'm not sure exactly what sounds the original one had. Unfortunately, there are no batteries in this one, so I can't test that to compare. But the new one, obviously, it has several different sounds. So the first sound we have, if we hold it down, is your standard looping sonic. But the next one, which we bring down, has a sort of pulse in, a sort of fade in, fade out sound. But as well as that, we also have several bonus sounds. So I believe if we do it twice, it's going to be a bit difficult to do. I'll try and do it. We have a sort of alarm if we do it 3 times. Kind of sort of sonar sound, and then 4 times. Scanning sound, and then I don't think there's 5. No, so just the 4. But again, it's great to have those little sort of bonus sounds in there. Definitely one that really does look the part. I have to say, between the original release and the new one, I do prefer this one, because this really does sort of give the feel of it being more metallic and actually made of metal rather than the sort of burnished plastic of the original. Again, though, to be fair, I appreciate that, you know, the electroplating and the chroming is more expensive, so again, at the time of recording, I don't know how much these sets are, but, you know, it wouldn't surprise me if this does sort of raise the price a little bit. But I think, you know, I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's one of those things that, again, for that little added extra detail, it is worth the money, and it's nice to have, you know, an actual sort of re-release of, you know, a classic sonic screwdriver, because I know it's something that people are always interested in getting. But let's get on to having a look at the figures and accessories. So here we have our third Doctor holding his couple of little accessories. Really, really nice figure, and there's one thing about this that I cannot get on camera for reasons which are about to become clear. When you get this, just take a really good huff of the figure, because it's got that plastic figure smell that I haven't smelt that in so long. I think it's because perhaps maybe they are using different types of plastic, you know, different types of plastics and things like that now. Because this does have a sort of slightly lighter feel in terms of the plastic, but it definitely looks the part. And I think it's also perhaps because the plastic isn't as covered in paint as, you know, previous ones used to be, because obviously it's cast in, you know, specific colour pieces, but the plastic just smells so good. I know it's a really odd thing to praise in a review, but for those of us who grew up, you know, collecting action figures of, you know, of days gone by and things like that, this really will sort of evoke an olfactory memory for you. But overall, in terms of the figure, it does look very, very good. I love I love a lot of the details on it that we've got. It's the small details that make the difference. You know, we've got obviously the tie is painted really nicely. Obviously, you've got a bit of detail on his suit jacket with all of his sort of fixings and things like that. The maggot, really, really nice to sort of have that as a little accessory. It's always an interesting, strangely very popular accessory. I've never quite understood why, but I certainly think it looks, it does look the part. And that's, you know, the detail on that as well. I have to really give them props for that, because even right down to its teeth, you know, its teeth are painted on that. The little sonic screwdriver, obviously accessory he's got, and the Chronos crystal, really, really nice. I do love a little bit of a transparent accessory. You know, in terms of articulation, the articulation is the same as the previous standard figure. There isn't any updated articulation as I can see, no ball joints or anything like that. So it is still very much the same. But obviously the really sort of crowning thing we've got in this is the brand new head sculpt. So let's have a quick zoom in to look at that now. So I cannot begin to describe how good this head sculpt looks. I really hope it comes up on camera, because the casting, this is the thing. So previously, you know, the original third Doctor head sculpt we had looked very good. It did look like John Pertwee. You know, this one just really, it's blowing me away how phenomenally good it looks. And I think this really does have to come down to the fact that it's cast in skin-coloured plastic and had the Art Deco applied to that. Because the thing that I find, and I think a lot of people agree with me on this, is a lot of the original head sculpts that we've had, even some of the more recent ones in some of the B&M sets, they've looked very soft, and the sculpt has looked very soft. But then when you look at the Affable Designs original, you know, CAD files and how it actually looked, and even when you take the paint off some of the you know, more recent head sculpts, they have got such an amazing level of detail on them that it is very much, the paintwork is softening the detail, and it means that a lot of it doesn't get captured. So this, to have this, you know, amazing amount of detail in that you can now see in this by just casting it in you know, the skin-coloured plastic, and then just sort of having the Art Deco done for things like his hair and his eyes, etc. It really does look absolutely amazing. I almost don't have words to describe how good it looks. I really, really don't. And this is definitely one of those ones that I'm gonna either pick up another one of, or take a cast of, so I can add this head sculpt to some of my customs. It's definitely one that I would love to put on my regenerated third Doctor custom figure when he's still in 2's outfit, because it just does, it's phenomenal. I really can't put into words how good it looks. You know, it's absolutely wonderful to know that we're getting sort of updated head sculpts for Doctors and things like that. You know, we had the updated 9th Doctor in the B&M set. We've had this updated 3rd Doctor. I don't know if we've had any other updated ones more recently. I don't think we have. I'm just going through looking over my figures now. Obviously, we did have an updated 4th Doctor for the Regeneration set, but that was from the Time Capsule set, and obviously you could say that we've had an updated David Tennant one with the 14th Doctor, but I don't think we've had any updated head sculpts otherwise. I could be wrong, but if that is the case and they do start updating the head sculpts for these Vortex sets, it's going to make them incredibly, incredibly popular. And in terms of just talking about the popularity of these sets, there is one more thing that I would like to address with these sets, just because it is something which I think is something that a lot of people are going to be talking about. Now, there's actually 2 final things I'd like to say on this figure. The first one, as you can see, I have put the figure back in the box, and I have to give Character Options praise and props here for the fact that this can be put back in the box. You know, it can be easily taken out of the box, put back in, and also the figure still sits in the box without the need for any ties, because it's got this sort of little bits of plastic around the inner plastic that will hold the figure in place. I know it seems like a really small thing, but as someone who loves to have their figures boxed on display, you know, this really is a plus, and I think I'm not going to be the only one who is glad that we've got this sort of style of box as well, because it really will make a fantastic lineup if they do more of these. Which brings me on to something that I mentioned at the start. Obviously, as I said at the beginning, many years back we did have a set of very similar to this which had the 11th Doctor with a sonic screwdriver, and I loved that idea. I never got that set myself because it was one of the ones that just passed me by, but I loved that idea, and I always lamented that they never carried that on. Obviously now we have this set, so they have carried it on to at least one, but the question that I think is going to be on everyone's lips, and it's certainly going to be on mine, is are we going to get more of these? Now, at the time of recording, I do not know if we are getting more of these. I want to make that very clear. What I'm about to say next is purely my own thoughts and speculation. This does not come from any insider information or anything like that. I am simply theorising what we could get if we had a set of each of these Doctors in future. Now, First Doctor, that's immediately a problem, because the First Doctor debatably never had a sonic screwdriver. You know, I have designed one myself based on one he had in Lego Dimensions, but obviously that's not canon, although I think in the Venusian Lullaby he is described as having a sonic screwdriver, which I believe sort of resembles the 2nd Doctor's penlight one. So I'm interested to see if they do this as a full range, what they could do for the First Doctor. I don't know if they'd have some alternate accessory, in which case I don't know what they would choose or anything like that. Personally, if it was me, I'd like to have like a little, maybe the fluid link or something from the Daleks. I don't know. But yeah, so it'd be interesting to see if they did a First Doctor. 2nd Doctor, obviously you would have the 2nd Doctor's penlight sonic, which would be a fantastic one because we've never had that as an official toy. But whether they would do perhaps something different and maybe do, again, the Dominator's variant, or even the, the little whistle version with a sort of little mini electronics thing built inside it. There's options there, but I think going for the War Games Sonic with the sort of classic penlight would be the way to go. But the other nice thing about it as well, I will say, is you don't necessarily have to have a Sonic that matches the story with these sets. I think that would be an interesting thing to do, and there's definitely some sort of 2nd Doctor variants that would be nice to see released. Obviously 3rd Doctor, we've got this set here. 4th and 5th Doctors, again, very easy to do. You can have some different outfit variant from that, either a re-release with an update or things like that, and then obviously a chromed version of their Sonics. 6th Doctor, obviously he didn't have the sonic screwdriver, so I would personally hope that we would get the Sonic Lance, which I definitely would think will be a big seller, because we've never had a Sonic Lance toy. There's lots of sort of custom and 3D printed fan versions out there, but we've never had an official one, so I think if we got an official one with that, it would be very good. I'm a bit of a sucker for the old real-time variant, so I'd love to see a real-time variant of the 6th Doctor for that. Or maybe they'll do a Trial of a Time Lord version, because we've never had that costume version, maybe with a, you know, an updated head sculpt where he's got some slightly more bouffant hair. Seventh Doctor, again, becomes a little bit difficult because he never really had the sonic screwdriver, although you could do a TV movie release, again, perhaps with an updated head sculpt with his larger hair and things like that, and then you could have the Seventh Doctor's Sonic slash Eighth Doctor Sonic from the TV movie. Which brings me on to the Eighth Doctor. Now, this is one that I think, in an ideal world, I think people would go for either the Night of the Doctor figure or the Dark Eyes figure, and I'm more inclined to say they're going to go for a Dark Eyes figure simply so they can get the Dark Eyes Sonic. Now, I personally would love to see the Dark Eyes Sonic released, however, that obviously then does depend on rights, etc. and things like that, and although we have had Big Finish figures before, it is obviously a debate as to whether we could get them again. One would hope that we can, but I would not like to put my money on that. I think if we got an Eighth Doctor set, it would probably be an Eighth Doctor Sonic, standard Sonic, or a War Doctor Sonic with a either TV movie or Night of the Doctor, Eighth Doctor. I think those are my sort of ideas. It's possible that we could get some comic variant again, like we did with the Children of the Revolution figure, but again, there's a matter of debate in that. So, sixth and the Eighth Doctors, first, sixth, and Eighth Doctors are a little bit knotty as to whether we get those. Obviously, War Doctor, we would get the War Doctor Sonic with perhaps an updated, an updated War Doctor. Personally, I would love to see a young War Doctor. But I know that, again, there's been rumours for many years that John Hurt did not like having his face modelled without his beard and everything like that. I don't know whether that's true or not, but it wouldn't surprise me if it were true that the estate carried over his wishes on that. So I think if we did get a War Doctor, we might just end up getting another just sort of War Doctor variant. But it would still be a lovely one to see. Ninth and 10th Doctors, again, easy to do, simple Sonic. 11th Doctor, again, pretty easy to do. And then, I mean, pretty much every Doctor then for the new series era would be easy to do. I don't know if we'd get I don't know, having said that, if we would get if this would go into the new series, just simply because the classic series, they're much easier to do because the Sonics were all sort of relatively the same size. When you go into the new series, you start to get more variation in size, which would mean changing the box. And again, from what little I know of sort of, toy manufacture and production and things like that, it's unlikely that they would go to the effort of making lots of different shaped boxes. I think the idea behind this one is this box has been made so it can specifically fit, classic style Sonics and a figure. So new series would be nice to see. Whether or not we get the new series, I don't know. But you could certainly do it, certainly from the second Doctor up to the War Doctor, I would say. Obviously, again, first, sixth, seventh and eighth are a little bit knotty, but it'd be interesting to see what they're going to do. At the time I recorded this, it was not known how many further sets there would be in this range. However, the press release has revealed that a further 4 sets in this range will be coming over the course of this year. Bearing in mind everything that I have previously just said in regards to which Doctors they are, if I was to personally speculate, I would say that it is likely going to be the 4th and 5th Doctors next. Not just because they are the next ones in the lineup, but as some of you may be aware, 2 prototype chromed Sonics for the 4th and 5th Doctors did appear on eBay recently, and whilst these could be early test pieces never intended for release, I would certainly see this as a good indication that we may see those 2 in future. But again, take this with a pinch of salt. But personally, I think it's absolutely fantastic to see them, carrying on this idea of a Sonic and figure. It's definitely a series that would sell incredibly well, so I certainly do hope that they carry it on, and it would definitely be one which I think people would gravitate towards and definitely boost sales. There's always a debate as to what sells and what doesn't sell, but I really struggle to believe that this won't sell well. It's again only my personal preference, but I think that is definitely something which should be carefully watched, because if this doesn't sell well, I think that says more about... I'm going to choose my words very carefully here. If this doesn't sell well, I think that says more about the fans and the customers, because I get the feeling that, again, at the time of recording, I don't know how much this is going to be price-wise. I would estimate, personally, it's around probably £40, which, again, for what we get in it, I think is an incredibly good price. If it is around that price, even if this was £50, I'd still say it's a good price myself. You know, because of what goes into it and what's been, you know, the production and things like that. But again, I think the problem is that there's still a lot of people out there who look at this and they say, oh, you know, well, 10, 15 years ago, we could have got this for, you know, $19.99. It's like, yes, that's how inflation works. There's still a lot of people, I think, don't quite grasp that idea. So if this doesn't sell well because people aren't willing to pay the price for it, again, I think that says more about the fans than it says about the actual companies, because the companies, again, as someone who works in production, albeit a different sector of production, inflation is an incredibly huge problem for the industries right now. And I know that from personal experience, having seen it firsthand, you know, with, you know, supply chain issues, material shortages, you know, production costs constantly going up and things like that. So if you really don't think that this is worth the price that they're going to be charging for it, whatever that price may be, hopefully it's not too expensive, but if it is, you know, closer to the £50 mark, if you think that's too expensive, then I'm not going to admonish people, which I feel like I may have done, so I apologise if I've come across that way. But if you really don't think this is worth the price, I urge you, go and do some research and look at how much industry costs, inflation, etc., because I think it really will open your eyes to what is going on in the world in terms of these things, and how lucky we are to get things like this at the price we get them. But on that, hopefully educational final note, that brings to a close another What I Think review. As always, I hope you all enjoyed this video. Like, favorite, subscribe, share, it really helps me out a lot, and be sure to check out the description below for a link to my Patreon. At the time of recording, I'm having a bit of a reshuffle with my Patreon, so in the meantime, all of your donations are greatly received, because for the smallest donation, which is probably the only one on there right now, you can get your name at the end of my videos. I salute you all, and I will see you with another video very soon.